What's cooking at the famous restaurants run by Danny Meyer these days is a far cry from what it was just a few months ago, which is causing Meyer himself no end of distress, as Martha Teichner now shows us.
I miss people. I miss smiling. I can't smell the smells of restaurants.
For Danny Meyer, after 4 months here, the Connecticut countryside, no matter how beautiful and safe from coronavirus, is one long reminder that it's not New York City.
I can't hear the clanging dishes and glasses. There's a sound of camaraderie that you get in restaurants. I miss that. I miss seeing our staff members.
His longings, their longings, scrawled on the papered-over windows of his Michelin-starred Gramercy Tavern, like eulogies for the once-upon-a-time world before coronavirus. Among the 20 restaurants with Danny Meyer's name attached, some of New York City's top-rated and most popular, Meyer closed them all in mid-March and then laid off all but about 70 of his employees. Nearly 2,100 jobs lost, but being let go meant staff qualified for unemployment benefits.
It must have been a nightmare.
It was only a nightmare on the nights when I slept.
The Union Square Hospitality Group, the company he'd spent 35 years building, went from more than $100 million in revenue in 2019 to zero overnight.
In the restaurant business, you don't have enough cash flow to get through probably more than a month or two without just running out of money.
Shake Shack, also founded by Danny Meyer, got a $10 million federal Paycheck Protection Program loan, but gave it back because as a public corporation, it could raise money to stay afloat from other sources. Not so the privately held Union Square Hospitality Group. The restaurants kept the PPP loans they got, less than $15 million to pay salaries, utility bills, sky-high New York City rents for who knows how long. Danny Meyer calls the money a lifeline.
And so you say to yourself, if I want to be a great employer when this is over, the best thing you can do for people is actually to be in business when it's over and to be solvent. And that was the really bitter pill to swallow.
So Meyer said he wanted to be a great unemployer and created the Hugs Fund.
I gave up 100% of my compensation, gave it to the fund. We sold gift cards for a week. We've conducted a number of auctions. And at the end of the day, we were able to raise over $1.5 million and grant out just about all of that so far to people on our now former team as a way of saying, look, we didn't stop caring about you.
Meanwhile, he tries to figure out what hospitality will look like for the Union Square Hospitality Group in an inhospitable COVID world.
I've always believed that hospitality is something that human beings need to give and need to receive. It's kind of like a hug.
Sorry, no hugs allowed anymore. Everything about social distancing contradicts Danny Meyer's notion of hospitality.
This was a very vibrant and active bar that could have been 2 and sometimes 3 people deep.
Chip Wade is president of the Union Square Hospitality Group.
And our patrons, our loyal guests, would be standing in deep conversations, reconnecting with people.
Inconceivable now. The bar at Union Square Cafe is currently the staging area for themed 6-packs of wine the restaurant is selling online for curbside pickup.
So that's part of the American, we're calling it the Americana pack.
A stab at generating at least some revenue, with indoor dining still weeks away in New York City.
We don't have a playbook for this.
How to second-guess reopening at 25 or 50% of capacity, when break-even is more like 80%. And safety is an issue for guests and employees.
This training guide that we put together,
23 pages of small print
There's a validation and a certification that every chef and general manager and ultimately our employees have to take and pass before we will invite them back to work.
Really, a test?
There is a test, exactly.
The National Restaurant Association says that COVID has put at least 20,000 restaurants out of business in this country. So the big test is how to survive.
I see restaurant dining rooms that are staffed by a much more diverse group of people. I see restaurants that love you more than they ever did. I see a lot less attitude at front doors, a lot less small talk around the table. Is the lady still working on her salmon? Stop it. I see authenticity. I think it's going to be a while before people say, the thing I really crave is the 18-course tasting menu.
Danny Meyer is nationally known as a leader and innovator.
Caviar for $13,667.
He thinks the COVID crisis has exposed an ugly truth, that the restaurant industry is broken, and now is the time to rethink not only how to social distance restaurant kitchens, but everything about the business model, from employee pay and tipping to impossibly high rents. Restaurants, he says, are essential to recovery.
Both for the economy and for life. There's 660,000 restaurants in this country. You don't understand, if you're a typical American, that our industry employs more people than the auto industry and airline industries combined.
3 Danny Meyer kitchens have just started cooking for a charity feeding needy New Yorkers. That's 20 rehires. A start. Wooing the public back is about building trust.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
And at Daily Provisions, basically high-end grab and go,
Surprises inside.
there's the personal note.
Thanks for visiting Martha by name.
Yes.
Hospitality is the key ingredient in the Union Square Hospitality Group's recipe for survival.
And what's this?
So that's our wake-up sauce. That's fantastic on our breakfast sandwiches.
Yum. I'm gonna try it with the sauce.
It is our version of the best bacon and egg sandwich that you can get in the city. Enjoy.
Thank you.
But of course, what's a recipe without a secret sauce?
I never thought I would catch myself licking a rubber glove to get the sauce. But I did.
Welcome to Daily Provision.